Radical, 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 radical. On April 24th, 2020, American rock band Awolnation released their fourth studio album, Angel Miners and Lightning Riders. And here's what I thought. Awolnation is the American rock band formed and fronted by Aaron Bruno. Their style is a kind of mix of like heavy rock mixed with some like theatrical rock and, you know, the occasional kind of pop element. And to be completely transparent with you, the only real song that I know offhand by Awolnation is, well, SAIL, which was actually their very first single, so wow, great job. But we move 4 albums later and here we are with this brand new album. And like I mentioned, I don't really know tons about this band, so this is kind of like my first time really listening to Awolnation. And I'm gonna try to review each track by track. Here we go! Track 1, The Best. Okay, so I've definitely heard this song before. Like maybe on TikTok or the radio? Okay, so it was released in late 2019, so maybe the radio or maybe like a movie trailer or something. The song starts with almost like an 80s like synth with a really heavy underscore underneath. You know, with the with the and honestly, it's pretty catchy. Lyrically, the song is about being insecure and having a desire to be more confident, which I think is something that everyone kind of goes through, unless you're Kanye West. At the very end of the track, there's like a, yeah! I feel like it's pretty appropriate. I mean, that song feels like there's a lot of pent-up aggression, you know? Track 2, Slam, Angel Miners. Song has almost like a lullaby kind of riff to it off the top. Add in some spacey synths. It kind of feels like I'm waking up in a place that I have no idea where I'm at. It has a very eerie kind of like melody to the refrain. And then the chorus hits and I can't help but think about Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. You know, like with the distorted bass. The chorus drops with the slam and yeah, I just can't help but think about that song and it feels like it's just less impactful because the world knows Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. And maybe because it's so familiar, it does kind of work. The song still achieves like a level of infectiousness. So, I mean, I guess it works. But if you're a fan of Awolnation going right into this and you like the song Bad Guy, this is probably like, you know, right up your alley. Track 3, Mayday, Fiesta Fever. A weird track, very theatrical rock. It's a little over the top for me. There's a lot of like yelling singing. The song features Alex Ebert from Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros, so that's cool. The song really just goes all over the place. I mean, like at one part it gets all glitchy and then it's just like a strumming guitar. It really does feel like I'm having a fever dream. And as much as the song kind of caught me off guard, by the end of it, I was grooving. By the end, I kind of appreciated how crazy it was. I know personally, if I saw this song live, I would be so inclined to like just want to mosh, you know? Just gets the people going. Track 4, Lightning Riders. Off the top, we kind of changed from like the aggressive rock that we've been hit with so far in this album. The song slowly builds and kind of remains pop with the ooh. There's some heavy drums that kind of come in, and then Aaron yelling, and now I'm glow in the dark! My neighbors probably hate me. It's kind of a familiar contrast that I'm guessing that this band has a lot of. Again, I'm coming from the reference point of really just SAIL. But yeah, it's a fun song. It just seemed a little repetitive, especially coming after like 3 songs that changed so much, you know? Still catchy, like a net. Track 5, California Halo Blue. Now this track is a little bit more somber. We hear Aaron singing about the 2018 wildfires in California, the ones that ended up destroying his Malibu studio. It's reflective on like, you know, the state of the environment in the world today. I think the song is perfectly placed here on the album because it kind of breaks up the really heavy in-your-face theatrics of the first half of the album and brings the listener down to something that's easily digestible for maybe like new listeners like myself. It shows that the band really does have range. He remembers the 9th of November, the day that he and his wife had to leave his Malibu studio house, and also the day that the house ended up being burnt down. There's a lot of heavy meaning, and he really captures it here on the song. The song title comes from this kind of fantasy idea of seeing California with a big halo of water circling around it, and kind of a nice image to imagine. Track 6, Radical. The start of the song kind of reminded me of The Man by The Killers. Just me. You know what the radical. And then it almost becomes like tropical, kind of like holiday-esque almost. I keep slapping my legs. Do you guys get annoyed by that sound? The chorus is very like power pop, you know? I'm not a big fan of the I feel like the other songs of the album kind of got me hooked a little bit more. This song just doesn't really do it for me. Track 7, Battered Black and Blue. Hole in My Heart. Is it just me, or do those verses kind of feel like Jack White a little? And then those choruses that come in that are kind of like soft sung and pop. The contrast almost reminds me of like a Mother Mother track. But I really do like how aggressive he gets in those verses. Especially when he's like screaming on certain words, you know? You know, the yeah! It's good, it's great, I love it. The song is fairly straightforward, and I think it would serve as a good like introductory track to a lot of people who want to get to know this band a little bit better. I mean, like, I feel like this track really shows both sides of Aaron's sound really well. Lyrically, it's about being heartbroken, kind of from like an outer body like perspective. Track 8, Pacific Coast Highway in the Movies, featuring River Cuomo from Weezer. The song feels a little safe for me, almost like a little filler, TBH. The harmonies in the chorus are nice, and I do love Weezer, and I love River's voice, but I mean, it doesn't really do anything special on this track, other than just kind of being there. To me, the song doesn't really grow. Like, a lot of the previous tracks have a lot of stakes on them, you know, whether it's dealing with loss or anger or love. This track is just kind of bland. Track 9, Half Italian. Hey, I'm half Italian. Is this my song? I've been waiting my whole life to find a song that's for me. The song almost has a SAIL vibe to it. No, just me? I know that's the only song. It was played everywhere. Of course I know that song. Yeah, I don't really love the verses or the chorus. I mean, the verses just seem like kind of like yelly and repetitious. And I mean, the chorus is also pretty repetitious. Track 10, I'm a Wreck. It starts off as like a pretty nice like little closer track. It starts pretty mellow, and we hear Aaron kind of coming to terms with a few things, but then we hear these strings that start building, and then the song totally shifts. Aaron gets so angry. I would say probably the angriest we hear him on this whole album. And then there's this like metal breakdown, and I'm kind of just like what's happening? Double bass and drum fills, and it just becomes almost like a too aggressive, kind of out of nowhere for my liking. And then he finishes the album by saying the title of the album, Angel Miners and Lightning Riders. And I don't know if I've missed anything, but it does seem kind of random. But yeah, that's the album. And listen, back in high school, I was such a musical theater kid. The level of like rock aggression and angst and theatrics would have had me foaming at the mouth listening to this then. And maybe it's because my musical taste has kind of broadened a bit. These songs don't totally do tons for me in a collection of, I guess, 10 tracks in a row. I think I really enjoyed the first couple tracks the best just because they were kind of different and fresh to my ear. And I really think, and maybe because I think I've heard the song before, but I think the best is, well, the best. Although I would still mosh to Mayday. I can appreciate Awolnation still going strong after, I first heard SAIL. But for me, nothing stood out for me to come back to this album. I think I'd give this album a solid 5.5. But what do you think? Have you listened to this album? Are you a fan of Awolnation? Are there things in this album that I just completely missed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe and stay inside. Seriously, it's crazy out there. Stay safe. I love you all. And until next time, peace.